everyone, welcome back to Needle Workshop. My name is Emily and today I am going to be the co-host of this video. Now you might be wondering why co-host and not like the host like I usually am. Well, it's because my colleague Gabrielle is actually the one who is in charge of vlogging this part of the costume, and she did a great job, but I did ask her to make sure to make an intro and outro so that you could introduce the video and obviously kind of close it up, and this is what she sent to me.
Okay, so I'm gonna start. Hi, welcome to Needle Workshop. My name is Gabrielle and it's the first time you see me on video. No, actually it's really not. We did a Christmas special. Was it a Halloween special? I don't remember. I understood
that. So yeah, I mean, technically it's an intro. It's an intro, but I figured I would jump in and chime in here and there just to round out some of the information in the video. Today we will be showing you how to assemble the obi for our Oni Girl pattern bundle, which is available for sale online, by the way. It's available as a bundle, but we might also make it available as an individual item, though I'm not 100% sure how that's gonna work yet. In the meantime though, you do have this vlog available as a helpful tool to assemble your own. So yeah, I think that rounds up everything I need to say for now. So without any further ado, let's get started.
Okay, so I'm gonna do my intro later because apparently I suck at that. So basically what I do when I start a project is I print out the character sheets and I study their design. So basically here, as you can see, I printed out Nezuko, and I'm going to be working on this little area, so basically her obi. My goal today is really not necessarily to create it in a way where it's historically accurate or it's really accurate to the Japanese way of doing it, but more so make it easy for a cosplay wearable item. Here we go. So I'll be laying out all the materials that you need to start with. All right, so I'm just gonna present the material overview. So I have some eyelets because I'm going to be finishing the back of the obi with a lace. Next, I got this beautiful cord. It's kind of like a copper gold. We love textures here at Needle Workshop, and I just found that this was absolutely beautiful. I'm just in love with this cord, and I thought that it would be a very nice addition. And then I found this beautiful green fabric. It's actually really nice. It has a nice sheen to it in real life and has a little bit of stress, but is very thick, and that's exactly what I wanted to go for. Then I have the white fabric, and this is actually linen. I just love the texture. I don't know if you guys can see. This is just regular cotton for the red. So I have a lot of textures going on already. I don't want to overwhelm the piece either. So basically that's it for the materials. Let's start, and I will be showing you the plan that I do with every beginning of project. Alright, so welcome back to my beautiful table right here. Step one, you're going to measure out your chest area all around, and I'm going to give an ease of 5 centimeters. This gives us a number of 99 centimeters, but for you, it will be your chest or your bust width plus 5 equals, and that number will be the width of your obi. An obi is generally between 25 and 30 centimeters in height. We decided to go with 25 centimeters.
Actually, I just want to chime in real quick. Yeah, the final height for the obi was changed afterwards, so the final measurements will actually be available in the instruction booklet that comes with the pattern itself.
After doing that, what I need to is draw a plan on my paper. It doesn't have to be the size of the pattern. You don't really need that. All you need is like a visual representation of what you're doing. Now I have to determine the amount of rectangles that I will be cutting out and sewing together. So if you look at the reference picture, she has 3 rows of rectangles. So already you know that your 25, or your height, is divided by 3. In this case, 25 divided by 3 is 8.333333 to infinity. So I'm just on my plan. I'm going to separate this in 3 and then, you know, make a gross line and then write on your plan 8.33 or whatever number you got. Now it's time to determine the amount of rectangles you'll have on your width. So you want it to look like a rectangle, so basically you want it to be at least minimum 2 centimeters more than your height for your rectangle. So you want it to be more than 8.33 plus 2, so 10.33. So let's try with 9. What's 99 divided by 9? It's 11. So is 11 more than 2 of 8.33? Yeah, it is. So you want 9 rectangles at 11 centimeters each. Perfect. Now it's to determine what colors go where. So if you look where it's more centered, she starts with a red here, a white, red, and red, white. So here I have my plan, so I can now determine how many rectangles I need to make my OB and what the measurements per rectangle is. So I'm going to be actually making my pattern right now. I'll be taking an empty sheet of paper and I want my pattern to be 11 cm by 8.33. And make sure you square it properly. And I will be adding a seam allowance. Here at Needle Workshop, we always use 1 cm seam allowance unless specified otherwise, so that's what I will be using right now. Alright, and then I'll be cutting my pattern out. So basically here, I now have my pattern. I wrote all my notes that I needed, so basically I need 14 white and 13 red. I went ahead and traced all my red. So I made kind of like a grid with the pattern. Basically I just put 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I just basically took my ruler and continued the line. Made sure that every single one of them was identical. Now basically what we're gonna do is cut out our fabric. You just do like I did with the red, just cut out the big rectangle. Make sure to be extra precise. The least precise you are, the wonkier your OB will look. Ta-da! The power of editing. So this actually took me not too long, I would say a good 5 minutes. Shouldn't take you that long either. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So right now, we're gonna go back to our plan and we're gonna follow it. So I have a red, then white, red, white, red, white, until I end with red. I'm supposed to have 9 rectangles until I reach the end. So right side to right side, I'm going to start off by just placing them together and then adding a pin. Just one should suffice. This is actually what it should look like right now, if you did it correctly. See, everything's just pinned, but I do like to always place my stuff to make sure I did it correctly before sewing anything and having to undo it. So what we have to do now is go to the sewing machine and make sure that all our seams are precisely sewn. For me, it's 1 cm because I put in a 1 centimeter seam allowance, and I will have to be careful to sew strictly at 1 centimeter. If you don't feel comfortable and you don't think that your sewing skills are that far yet, you can totally draw a line and just follow that line that you make. Just go ahead and sew all the seams. It will take you a while, and we'll see each other after. I'm actually gonna head to bed, so I don't know if you noticed, but I'm really tired and I have a hard time speaking. So it's 9:30 over here, and I'm going to be heading to bed, coming back tomorrow and filming the rest. So bye, guys. Hey, welcome back. It's me. I know for you it's been like 0.5 seconds, but for me it's actually been 3 days because I got really sick. So in between the takes, what I did was I sewed all my rectangles from one row together, and I went ahead and ironed my seams. So pro tip, guys, iron your seams.
Always iron your seams, BB.
So basically what I have to do is really try to pin everything so that the corners fit perfectly, or the lines fit perfectly. So you see, like, both sides like this. Try to get them to just follow each other well, and put a pin on both sides just to make sure, because you know what? My role in Needle Workshop is not usually being the seamstress. Emilie is like 10 times better than me at sewing. Not that I'm not good at all. I think I'm pretty decent myself, but Emilie is like out of this world. She's really, really good at what she does. Fun fact about Emilie, I remember being in class with her, and I don't even remember the project that we were making, but it had something to do with like joining the corners and whatever, and I remember hearing her out loud saying, I don't understand why people can't put their corners together. I mean, it's not that hard. And in that moment, I remember looking at my garment and my corner was like a little bit off, and I looked at her, and she doesn't know this, and I looked at her and I just like begrudgingly like unsewed my garment and then resewed it to make the corner perfect. But you know what? Thanks to Emilie, I must have gotten a better grade on that garment.
Oh my god, I am such a narc. To all my past schoolmates, I'm so sorry. That is absolutely insufferable.
So I'm finally done putting everything together. Wow. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be cutting out my lining for the same piece. The reason I'm going with this to cut out my lining is just I want it to fall perfectly. And if I go with my original measurements, like let's say 99 centimeters by 25 centimeters, but that one of my rectangles is off by 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters, then my lining will be a little bit off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lining fabric. So in this case, I think I want to go with the white. I'm just going to go grab my linen. Hopefully I have enough. Oh no. Oh no. Like I cut a little square right here. Oh shoot. Big disappointment. I had to prepare and fuse my red fabric. But you know what? It's fine. Like I didn't feel like going to the store just for that, and I had fusing, I had fabric, so why not combine the both and make a different fabric? At this point, we're almost done with a kind of like the shell part. What you want to do is just make sure that you cut your lining fabric, which is the fabric that's going to be on the inside of the obi. And then what I want you to do is take the main part, put it aside for now, and I want you to take off on the width right here. So on the longer length, I want you to take off on the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter, 6 millimeters. Chop it off, and the reason for that is because it acts like a lining, right? So you want kind of like the shell to flip inwards so that the lining doesn't show and it's only the shell that's visible. By having the lining shorter, it kind of forces the shell to go back on itself inwards. So it's just a trick. It makes everything just look cleaner, nicer. It's just a little designer trick. What I'm going to be doing now is actually prepare the green piece. So I have my green piece right here. I haven't even started. Like, I've made the prototype off camera. I'm going to point this like here.
Okay, well, the clip just kind of ends there, so there was no follow-up on this. So I guess that ended her work session, and we're just gonna move on to day 3.
Okay, so now that you've finished this, it's absolutely beautiful. This is what it looks like on the inside. You will be adding fusing on the end. So mine looks kind of choppy. That's the reason. The reason for that is because I had to resew my seams. But originally it was just one piece that I ironed flat over my seams like this. As of right now, you should have 2 pieces. So the lining that is a bit shorter just on the sides, on the length, the long way, just a bit shorter than the shell. All right, like this. So put it aside and we will be working on the green part. I was just watching videos of how to tie a real obi, and actually this is called an obiage. I'm not pronouncing it right. What we're gonna do is a fake version of it, or I at least am gonna do a fake version of it. So I went ahead and cut a large rectangle of approximately 30 centimeters by, I haven't cut it yet, but I need to cut it to the whole length of my obi, which is 101 centimeter. How she does it in the video is she's like doing this whole folding technique of folding the top, folding the bottom, and then doing a knot at the front, but by holding her hands and like positioning her fingers. We're not going to do all that. It's a little complex. I want to create this bias type, like I said earlier, to just insert it in between the 2 layers. But what I do want is that this part, which would pretend to be a knot, just comes and scrunches up the middle. So I want to create these pleats, and I want them to look kind of natural, as if it was actually being folded. So I'm just gonna make these pleats right here. Now what I did is I cut out a rectangle and I folded the sides inwards. I'm not top stitching or anything, I just wanted to look clean like this. So I'm just going to place it on top of the little scrunch that I made, and I'm going to scrunch it up a little bit. So I'm just gonna place it and do a bit of gathers like this, so it looks more natural. So the back looks like this. It's much straighter. The fact that it's much straighter will make it a lot easier to sew in, because you don't want too much thickness everywhere. So after you've scrunched up the middle, what you're going to do is you're going to finish your ends until about maybe 5 centimeters. So the corners, we show this in a lot of videos. So for a waistband, this is how we finish our ends. Square it off and both ends, and then you're going to place some pins just to keep it all well together. So place some pins just above where you're going to cut, and you want it to give at least like 5 cm. So I'm pinning here, and now I'm just gonna cut a little excess. Okay, so right now you can kind of tell it's starting to look like something, but I do want to go ahead and stay stitch it just a little below where I'll be sewing it inside my seam. So here I have to keep in mind that I want my scrunch to look like this. So if I stitch it maybe 1.5 cm above this, and then I'll like 0.5 cm above, it'll look really nice. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll be right back. Okay, so now you have more of a visual representation of what I mean. So I'll be stitching it to the the shell and the lining just above this line.
Okay, so for the next part, you'll actually want to sew the shell to the lining while sandwiching your green bias in between. There are a few small details to take into account here, and we'll go into more details in our booklet that is actually provided with the pattern. This video should still give you a rough idea of what you're supposed to do, but if you want the full details, I suggest just snatching our booklet online.
Hey, I am so happy. I went ahead off camera and sewed the lining to the shell, so you can see that the wrong side basically, and the wrong side of the shell, so that the right side of the shell and lining are faced together. And if you see in between here, the green part is sandwiched in between both of them on top. So when I'll flip it open, you'll see that it's gonna stick on top. So it's turned around, and you know what step it is after you turn something around. You push out the corners and you go iron it, because ironing is so important in life. So here you go. It's not finished yet, but it looks pretty good. Okay, now let's get to technical things and less, vlog aspect. Now that you've put your lining on the shell, you're going to go to the iron and iron it flat. And the opening, just make sure that you fold the lining in by 1.5, well, by your seam allowance, and that you iron the shell flat. So after that, you'll be left with this kind of opening, and you can sew it by hand. But before doing all of that, you will need to prepare your batting so you can stuff your OB so it gives it a lot more thickness.
Once again, for more info on how to develop this piece, please check out the booklet provided with the pattern online.
Okay, so now all I have left to do is actually put on the closure system. I have decided to go with lacing in the back. So I have my grommets and I have my ribbon, which is red. I mean, it is what it is. So I'll be doing this tomorrow, probably, or maybe the next day. We will see.
All right, so this kind of concludes today's video. I hope it was helpful. It's a little bit more messy and chaotic than usual, but it's kind of fun to switch it up every once in a while. And I think Gab really wanted to try like a more vlog style for this piece. So I hope you enjoyed it. As always, you can give us a big thumbs up and subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of all our upcoming content. You can also find us online on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if ever you end up using any of our tutorials or even our patterns to make any of your costumes, feel free to tag us. We love to see your work, and we'll make sure to share it to our very small community too. I think that wraps up today's video. So until next time, good luck with your projects, guys. Bye-bye.